secret, and it works for me. I got a problem, I just get on my knees. Then I find me a place away from everybody in my closet to where my breakthroughs come. I've been stressing about some things I can't. I've been stressing about what I can change. So I found my space in the room, and I wanna give it to you because you know just what to do. I was hurting, now I'm feeling so much better. I hit the closet, got my life together. So I hit the closet, I can do whatever. Said to me, me never. If you're looking for an answer, in the closet's where I found it. There is a weapon, one that I like to use. I got no time for the gap, cause when you're done you can laugh. Pain is a feeling so real, when you can't keep still. Don't know what to do, and I know that it's gonna work for you. Cause when you're stressing about the things you can't change, you give energy till you gotta switch it up. Hop in the closet, your blessings gon' come. Promise to lead you. You were worried, but you're feeling so much better now. I hit the closet, got my life together. I hit the closet, I can do whatever. Said to me, me never. Looking for an answer. In the closet's where I found it. So much better now. I hit the closet, got my life together. So I hit the closet, I can do whatever. Said to me, me never. Looking for an answer. Where I found it. You gotta switch it up, yeah. Hop in the closet, your blessing gon' come. Promise to meet you in the closet where I found it, yeah. You gotta switch it up, yeah. Hop in the closet, your blessing gon' come. Promise to meet you. Promise to meet you.
It's AM and FM, how you heard it in the old days. The new 107.9 FM and 980 AM WDDO. The glory. History repeats itself. The new dynamic duo. 107.9 FM and 980 AM WDDO. The glory.
Hi there, this is Apostle Lila Smith Harris, God's woman of faith and power of Healing the Hurt Life Center, with a Holy Ghost shout out for all of God's children. Are you hurting? Does it seem you can't get anything right? Being misunderstood? Can't please your mate? Problems with your partner? Fussing and fighting in your home? Troubling with your significant other? Listen, got more bills than you got money? Well, or you just need peace of mind? I want you to know, praise God, that God told me to tell you that it doesn't matter what it looks like. He can and He will turn it around. Meet me Sundays at 12 noon. That's at Healing the Hurt Life Center, 776 Hope Avenue, right here in Macon, Georgia. Glory to God. I want you to know it's across the street from Central High School. Listen, God said it, I believe it, and it is so. That's Sundays at 12 noon, 776 Hope Avenue, where God's turning things around. See you there.
Even while living 6 feet apart,
bad things can still happen.
if you get in an accident and been hurt,
call us. We might be able to help.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with GWENETTE, WESTBROOKS, and Mr. DUMAS.
good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
So glad y'all could join us. I'm Willie Dumas along with President Westbrooks, and happy that you could be with us this evening. I don't know. It seems like we may have a little technical something going on. Let's see. I'm not getting anything in my monitors. Are you getting something in your headset?
Just some interruption a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, they can hear us, so that's all we need to know. We're glad you could join us. Got a lot to talk about today. Some of the things we're going to talk about is some upcoming fundraiser events for the NAACP, our Freedom Fund Banquet, which will be coming up in October.
Yes.
And if you want to give us some details on that, President Westbrooks.
Yes. The Earl T. Shinhoson's Freedom Fund Awards um, ceremony will be October the 26th at 5 o'clock p.m. It's going to be at Unionville Missionary Baptist Church, where Reverend I.E. Mackey is the pastor. So we will have that event where the tickets are $50, and you can also do a sponsorship. We have different levels of sponsorship. We're asking for the community for your support. These monies that we raise are put back in the community. We help in different areas. So, housing and education and so many different things, voter education and voter registration. So we're asking for your support in this event. This is an election year, so we're, making, working to make sure that, every registered voter has the opportunity to vote. We're asking for everyone that's registered to vote to get out and vote. We're in critical times, and this is not the time to be silent, and because your vote is your voice, and if you don't vote, then you are silent. And this is how people get into office that should not be in the office because we fail to exercise our right to vote.
Absolutely.
And so we just want people to understand that we're going to be doing fundraisers throughout the year because um, it takes money to run an organization. It takes money to be able to help this community. So we're asking for the community support. A lot of things that we do, example of things that we do. We do go into the jail also with just walk away the initiative. But the NAACP was helping people incarcerated, way before um, we started working with Mr. Leonard. So
Absolutely.
we get a lot of complaints from people incarcerated, people in prison, and so we're able to help people throughout the community. So this is something that a lot of our complaints come from people that are incarcerated or in prison. So like I said, we just want to make sure that people do contribute to this fundraiser because it is a effort that we make to make sure that people are um, treated equally and fair. And sometimes it's not about um, discrimination or anything like that. It's just the fact that anything that we can do to keep people from returning back to prison or to jail.
Absolutely.
That's one of our biggest things that we want to do. We're collaborating also with other agencies. So we it's hard. It's so many laws that are put in place. So that's why we do our fundraisers because it's people that get out of prison, get out of jail, don't have housing. Those some of the things that we're going to be looking at setting up because of all of us. Some of us have work history that can help people in the community as far as people that are returning back to society. So that's one of the things that we do. We try to work on making sure that people that return back to prison or something that we can do to keep them out of jail or keep them out of prison. So just make sure that you do contribute. Like I said, the tickets are $50. We do have sponsorships that we've sent out to different agencies. So we just ask for you to please donate to this fundraiser. Want to That's one announcement that we're going to be doing. The second announcement is that we're going to be creating town hall meetings throughout Macon, Georgia, um, in relates to different issues that are going on. One of them we're going to be talking about um, housing. Um, as you know, evictions are very, oh my goodness, every time I, look into my phone, there's something about evictions and people homelessness, and this is not an isolated issue. It's not just in Macomb. It's throughout the United States. Um, every time every time I look at this, it's some different state, and there has to be some laws put in place. Like I want to, make it very clear that we have some good landlords, but we have some slum landlords, but we have some landlords that are really good and but for those that are not, then there has to be some laws put in place and to protect the tenants. And like I say, we got some tenants that don't do what they're supposed to do, but we do see a lot of retaliation against tenants when they do um, speak out or talk about request repairs and different things like that. So the town hall meetings are going to include um, Project 225. Um, we're going to be talking about housing. We're going to be talking about the new voting laws and making sure that people get educated on what they need to do coming up. It's very important that you know what the new laws are, because, like I say, you know, if you're not if you're not educated on what you're supposed to do, you're gonna be lost.
And ignorance is no excuse to the law.
Yeah, and just a little bit. I was actually a witness last week. Ms. Chiquita Maxwell had filed a injunction, and it's been all on in the media, and an injunction to because the election was certified. Not necessarily, to my understanding, not necessarily dealing with the mayor's race, but for the simple fact that she felt that the election should have been stopped when we had the issues with the different precincts and the different um, with the incorrect ballots. So um, because I was a registered voter and had issues at the polls, there were different people there to testify to show that we had problems with our polls. I don't know, maybe a judge or somebody getting involved. Uh, Maybe they'll get it right. Hopefully they'll get it right. But I'm not going to really go into a whole lot of details about that. But there were different people there testified, and people that won the election still felt that the election shouldn't have went forward. It shouldn't have been certified because of the
All
different
those different issues.
right. And so, in my concern, as a registered voter, was uh, the the mall is not the mall should not the board of election should not be at the mall. Um, when I don't know who thought of that idea, but to my understanding, when they put it there, there were some recommendations made, um, and they just really ignored it.
Wow.
And so, even after they put it out there, there were still some recommendations made, and they still ignored it. Um, and so, the Department of Justice is going to probably have to get involved if they don't do something. But to my understanding, a couple of weeks ago, they did announce. I don't know why the courts would be put in the front of the of that area, and that courthouse is not even open. It's been that the Board of Elections has been out there for a minute, and it seems that the Board of Elections would have been put in the front, and the courts would have been put in the back of the back.
Or the mall itself.
Right. And I guess they were probably looking at the fact that too, so people would not be standing outside, but then they could have done whatever they need to do to fix that. They could have designed it the way they want to design it, but to have people, you know, that was my experience, the distance of walking. And then I was challenged when I got there because I wasn't 65. And it wasn't a sign saying 65, it was a handicap
Emblem
decap,
there, a decal.
there. So because I had a handicap decap, because I do have a limited walking ability, and where I can't walk a long distance because of my prior surgery. But but I was challenged, uh, saying I wasn't 65. Was I, you're not 65? And I said, well, the sign didn't say that you had to be 65. So do I, I have a handicap decap. You know, I was still challenged. And so those types of things, if you're not persistent, then I could have, if I was a person that I would have just turned around and just left because I knew I wasn't 65. Um, or just got in the other line and stood and waited like everybody else did. You know, had to wait, stand in line and wait till it was your turn. That has a lot to do with training, and people needs to be trained. So, I also testified in reference to my um, my ballot being incorrect. My husband did vote for the wrong person because we went to the polls at the same time. But I'm thinking that he's been paying attention to who's been calling our home, calling us,
Right.
texting our cell phone. So, you know, again, it's training. I was told if you leave out of here, you're not going to be able to come back and vote. I said, well, I hadn't cast my ballot. I'm seeing that the person is not on this. I shouldn't be voting for. So was able to come back to vote for the correct person, but my husband did not because he cast his ballot already. But the fact is that, they may say people have a responsibility. They should know who they should be voting for, but at the same time, the ballot needs to be right because people's, they walking in and they thinking they voting for who they supposed to be voting for.
And
So
it's pretty intimidating too. Particularly sometimes for first-time voters. They're already a little nervous about the
right.
process, and then when you have, these types of obstacles that they have to deal with, certainly, that's discouraging
Yeah, I
for a
see
lot
Miss
of them.
Maxwell has tuned in, and please register to vote. Please take your family and volunteer within your community. Um, she's got
What's
Westside United tonight at 6:30. So that's an announcement. I guess she's letting people know that there's a meeting at Westside United tonight, and it's probably most likely at Reverend Glover's church. Most likely, that's where the meeting will be. But um, there were other people there testified, candidates that testified, and what my concern was too was the night of the election, you could not get the individual uh,
counts?
counts in May. You couldn't get the individual count of each precinct. They were giving total amounts, which was crazy. Um, and then when we went back for the runoff, again, my husband and I went together, and I was out here trying to console somebody because they were so upset because they were being told that they could not vote. Um, and
Wow.
then another person was upset because they were told they would vote, and they were trying to vote for people in the district 145, which they were told you can't vote because that person is not. Well, I voted for them in May. Well, you shouldn't have voted for them in May. You had the wrong ballot. They were not supposed to be on your ballot in May. So this is why the injunction was filed, because of people receiving the incorrect ballots. The in the election was certified by the board of election saying that it was true and accurate, which it wasn't.
Couldn't possibly
I,
be.
I don't I don't think that some of the races that was in a runoff probably,
Well, they ended
and
up.
I'm just speaking because people saying it was a few. How do you know unless you've been there tampering with the votes, and how do you know that it's just a handful, it's a few? We don't know how many voters were affected by that, and we don't know whether or not an actual runoff should have taken place between in District 8
Right.
and in 145, because the race was so close. But then people were voting for candidates in 145 that shouldn't have been voting for candidates in 145 in the May election. Because when we got to the runoff, then people were being told that, well, you can't vote. You shouldn't have voted for them in May. So how do we know how many? We don't even know. That's my concern. Some of these races that had runoff probably shouldn't have
Right.
been a runoff.
And then for them to say, it was only a few, that makes a person feel they vote doesn't count.
Right.
And
Well, we shouldn't say that because
right,
you don't know.
exactly.
Unless the only way you can speak to say that it was a, you know, I've been seeing some, write-ups and different things like that, that people are saying that it was on a few. How do you know unless you have access to it, to the
Exactly.
votes? If you don't know, some of these uh, precincts are majority African American precincts, and so we have information as far as how many people are registered to vote in those areas. So now you're telling people that they can't even vote in the runoff because they shouldn't have voted. So, like I say, to my understanding, that's what the injunction was about, because of the
Inconsistencies with
and
ballots as well
right,
as
and then it was actually certified. So even though uh, the injunction was dismissed, and it was dismissed really because of technical, and I think that she'll be able to prove that technical, but according to the judge, that she did have standards, which means that she had merits. I remember him telling them what to put in
in
the
the record.
order, right? And so, you know, she'll make a decision as far as how she wanted. And then a lot of the people that ran for office, they voted. She said that the people deserve a voice. So a lot of the people um, that that was actually lost, and some people that won actually testified, and they agreed that the race shouldn't have been certified, shouldn't have went forward. It should have been stopped once they realized that it was an error. They should have stopped it and redid it, and we wouldn't be going through this. But right now we've certified an election that we know.
Had flaws in it.
Well, actually, they knew it. When you certify an election, that means that there were no issues. That what you're saying, and that was we had 7 out of 9 districts had incorrect ballots. So I'm not understanding. They said it was a few, and like I said, you shouldn't speak on how many unless you have access to the Board of Elections,
Absolutely.
and you've been involved in the ballot. They haven't given the Board of Election never gave a count of how many people were affected by that, and so we got to make sure that people, even with absentee ballots, people did not get absentee ballots until they didn't get the absentee application until the day of election. So a lot of people that vote absentee did not get their even in the runoff, they didn't get the absentee um, ballots in time for to be able to vote. So it was just a mess. I've never seen it like this before. The judge did give a comment. I read it in the newspaper. So I'm hoping that they can get it right, because if not, it's gonna be a hot mess in
In
November
November.
if they don't get it right, if it's not right. And this is something that the NAACP has. When I was there testifying, I couldn't testify on behalf of the NAACP, because in order for me to testify on behalf of the NAACP, our attorneys would have had to be involved in it. So that's why I testified as a registered voter, because the NAACP is doing something individually on their own. Um, so the NAACP was not involved in this actual injunction. But we just want people to understand. I don't want people to be discouraged. This should encourage you,
Right.
because I don't know whether it was intentionally done. I don't know, but I do know that laws are being put in place. It just seemed like every other week there's new
Something.
laws that are coming out. And what people got to understand is that if people vote did not count, people would not go through
The things they
they
go
would
through.
not go through things that they're going to make it harder for people to vote. Because I promise this community, I promise you, if you get out and vote, you you can basically kind of get what I'm saying. Things that needs to be done and things that need to be put in place, you can get that
Right.
if we vote and your money. I'm saying, just look at where, just look at things that are in our community.
And where they are.
They put business in our community because they know that we're going to spend money. They don't put them in their own communities. It's certain businesses put their businesses in our community because they know. Just imagine if you didn't go buy hair, you didn't go buy this stuff,
Right.
they wouldn't stay in business.
We're the biggest
And they
consumers.
count on, right.
Yeah.
And they count on us spending money, and we don't. We're so busy, you know, doing everything else. You're not paying attention to the economy, because
We're
we
just
play a big
paranoid.
part in the economy. And I'm just telling people, your vote and your money has a lot to do with what happens in this community.
Absolutely. Now I was surprised and elated all at the same time at the construction that's been done on Gray Highway. I don't know if you've been down Gray Highway here late, but they actually put those islands in place
Right,
to keep people from being run over. You know,
right.
and so that's a very good thing
It
that's
is.
happening
It is.
on that side of town.
Right. It is, because a lot of people are, yeah, people are. There's so many accidents in that area, and that's a good thing. And, we still got to work on um, things being done equally in our community. I went down
Absolutely.
Antioch Road, you know, uh, twice last week, in the bushes are growing up in the road.
Wow.
You about can't, two cars about can't go down the road passing each other because it's
Wow.
growed out. So, you know, that's not, nobody really lives in that area. Is the county should be doing that, but it's not being done. And like I say, we still grooming certain parts of the community. We still certain parts of the community, and like looks better than the other in the other, and so, but it's also left up to the people that live in the area to keep your own yard
Yards.
groomed.
Absolutely.
But as far as the streets and the roads, I'm seeing that it's not done equally. It's not done equally. Certain sides of town look like it's just like it's deserted.
And I know what's that street going out towards Jeffersonville Road. If you're coming through, the road is real nice, but it's like they ran out of money or something, because once you get to a certain area, the road is like it was, initially. And so
Yeah,
it seems like that should have been carried all the way out to Highway 80, but it kind of stops right before the underpass there.
yeah. And again, we want to congratulate the United States
Olympics.
on the Olympics. I tell you, that
Yes.
Shakara Richardson is, boy. She made the United States day. She saved the day, and they were a little behind, but her speed just made the United States day. But we want to congratulate all the
Participants.
participants that
Absolutely.
participated in the Olympics, and whether you won anything or not, whether you won a medal or not, we want to thank you for thank them for their participation. We also, I got a invite to the Bo Ponder event that was held this weekend, and I was not able to attend, but um, I'm just so glad that the NAACP actually gave him an award while he was living. We gave him his flowers while he was living. We honored him for his music while he was living, and so he was a great asset to this community when it came to music. And it was something else. I can't think of it right now. I know you was talking about earlier about the Abby.
Yeah, the Gabby Dixon,
Dixon
memorial
and
celebration.
and I was not able to attend, and you wasn't either. But just keep her family lifted up in prayer.
Absolutely.
Her mother lifted up in prayer. It's one thing to lose a loved one, but then you can't really find peace or really can't move
Closure.
forward or like you say, closure when you don't really know where your loved one is. You just can't find closure. So I'm just keep her and her family in prayer. I know we've had some criming, and I think it was I was reading where it was a couple of them, a mother that lost, I think two.
She lost two of her children who
Right.
were caregivers to her.
Right.
And so that became a very tragic type situation because I believe they're now trying to relocate her back to Miami area
Right,
where her
right.
family's from. She lost one of her kids to suicide, I believe. And but when you've got people that have to care after you and you lose those individuals, that's a real travesty.
And so I saw where I want to hit on that for a little minute. We saw where there was people got the MVP money. The only thing that I want to say to this community, don't let the MVP money make you silent.
Absolutely.
About the thing that matters in this community, because a lot of times people get this MVP money and they turn their blind eye. They don't see things. They don't, because sometimes when people give you money, they own you.
Absolutely.
And you have to be silent and you can't speak out. So I'm just when this money is given, it should be no ties to the money except for to do what you're supposed to do with the money to benefit the community. But I'm seeing that a lot of agents or have become silent when they get this when they're receiving this MVP money. Don't turn your I'm just saying to anyone that receives any type of money, you do what you're supposed to do, but you do not need to be silent about the things that go on in the community. You still should have a voice and not just turn the blind eye when things are going on in the community, and that's not right, because you still should be able to
listen to the live broadcast of the NAACP.
See you on next week.
Mr. DUMAS. Come join us next Monday at 4:00 p.m. on 980 WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants